Hey, what's going on, guys? KitsuneTCG here, back with another deck profile, and today we are going to be looking at some early testing for the world premiere archetype in Mimighoul. Now, before we hop into it, would just like it if y'all would like and subscribe. I am trying to reach that 1,000 subscriber mark, so definitely would be a lot of help if y'all could join in and do that. Now, Mimighoul is a fantastic archetype, and honestly the first world premiere archetype that has excited me, or I think really been pretty interesting to a lot of people since Plunder Patrol. So I'm definitely excited to see where they go with the second wave. I think it's already actually a pretty, competent strategy with just the first wave. Obviously, definitely need some more testing on this. We've only had the reveal on it for about a week now, or a little bit less. So not a whole lot of time to kind of look over and try and figure out the deck, but enough time, I think, to kind of do some early builds and see just where this deck goes. But just kind of hopping into it, the first one here is Mimighoul Master, the only level 4 in the Mimighouls, but definitely a really helpful card. This is, when you summon it, you can add a Mimighoul monster from deck to hand. So it just kind of helps you get your ball rolling, maybe gets you one of the other ones that you need. And then it also has the ability on your opponent's turn to flip up a set monster, so also just has a way to kind of get this archetype going, which is obviously very helpful. Archfiend is probably the best one that you can get to your opponent's side of the field. You draw a card, you make your opponent pitch a card, and then you get the monster back. Is a really great effect. Now, you do also have the ability that if you normal summon this card, or special summon it, to your side of the field, you can flip up a face-down monster on your opponent's side. So that is something to kind of keep in mind. You do have another way to interact in Archetype to do that, but isn't going to come up as much, I think, because this is definitely one that you're wanting to more times set to your opponent's field. Dragon does actually have a pretty helpful normal or special summon to your side effect, being able to search a Mimighoul spell or trap that's going to get you whatever you need, whether or not it's the field spell, which is obviously a really great card, or, the searcher in Maker, or maybe the trap if you already have access to everything else. But its slip effect is also really good as well. Just being able to destroy all face-up monsters aside from Mimighoul monsters, and then you also get this one back as well once it's done that. Is going to be a pretty nice effect. Not as helpful because they are typically going to probably flip this up first, but it can definitely kind of come up if you were able to kind of get it to go off. Now, Cerebus, only playing one of this, doesn't come up nearly as much. The Banish 3 to special summon 1 back I don't think is as helpful. And then it doesn't really have a normal or special summon effect. It does protect your face-up spell cards, which is helpful, but I don't think that's a huge kind of need right now, so only one of. Plus, the dungeon is able to add a Mimighoul monster from deck or graveyard, so even just playing one of, you're able to see it pretty often, and you're able to get it back with the field spell, so, really not losing anything there by just only playing one of it. Are maxing out on the field spell and even playing the one terraforming, because this is a really great field spell. Obviously, you have the ability to search a monster once per turn. That's not on activation, so you'll be able to kind of keep doing that every turn. But also the ability to, help with some attack points on these monsters if you do keep them around for longer than a turn. But it also has another effect in, neither player can normal summon or attack while they control a set monster. So it really does force your opponent to do something with those, either first or try and play around them if they can. So it is just a very, very strong field spell. Are maxing out on 3 of the Searcher in Mimighoul Maker, being able to reveal 2 flip and special summoning 1 to your opponent's field and adding the other to the hand. Really just kind of means that you're going to be able to put 2 monsters on your opponent's field, just because obviously they all have the ability to special summon themselves to your opponent's field face down. And then it also has the ability when your opponent special summons a monster, you're able to flip up a face down monster by banishing this from the graveyard. So another kind of really helpful in archetype way to, get those guys flipped up. Another one here is Sol and Luna. I definitely think maybe should be a 3 of in here. If you do slip in one guard dog in the side, or you still want to play it in the main deck, this is obviously a really great way to get that to go off. And just obviously being able to kind of interact with the monsters in addition to Mimighoul Master, I think is a pretty helpful card in here. And then finally we have just the one of the Mimighoul Room. Special summon one Mimighoul monster from hand or deck to either your field or your opponent's field face down, and then you can change one face-up monster on the field face down. It's pretty helpful. You could definitely, if you're trying to protect like a monster, do this in battle phase or anything like that. So pretty helpful overall. From there, Nibiru is a great choice to kind of have in the main deck. Obviously, none of these cards care if you have a monster on board, so this is definitely one to kind of include. Same with Fenrir. And then same with Dimensional Shifter. Obviously, this deck is not too worried about the graveyard. You have a lot of cards here that you just have multiple copies of, so not too worried about losing any of them for like a turn. So 3 of Shifter is perfect. It really just kind of helps this deck, I think, compete. Ash Blossom, obviously a 3 of. Prosperity, just to kind of help out if you happen to not open combo, which this deck is pretty consistent already, so shouldn't be too much of a problem, but it can definitely help you maybe grab a hand trap or something like that for follow-up. And then just a one for one in the deck as well. Really just kind of go into Dragon if again you kind of happen to be a little bit bricky, and then it can kind of from there help you kind of get the ball rolling. And then 3 Imperm rounding out the 40-card main deck. Over in the extra deck, number 13 or number 31, they're really the same card. You can play whichever one you want. Just put number 13 in here, but obviously being able to, during either player's turn, detach one to change all monsters to, or your opponent's monsters to face-up attack position is pretty helpful. Just another way for you to activate a flip effect, and since all the other ones aside from Master are level 1s, pretty nice inclusion there. Same thing with Lyrilisk. Just being able to attack your opponent directly helps you kind of make an easier Zeus. I am playing Gaga Cowboy. I wanted to see if there was just some way to have like a time card, because I have noticed in any kind of like stun or slower deck like this, being able to do any damage in time is pretty helpful. And you do have a few ways you'd be able to get this out there. Obviously Master is the only level 4, but you can normal it, and then if you have access to Maker, you'd be able to, possibly get another one on board. So just kind of depends on the hand, but it is something I just thought to include. Obviously Downward to make a little bit bigger Zeus, and then Typhon. Anima, since all of the ones are level 1. Dark, IP, SP, Nightmare Phoenix, Unicorn, Selene, Access Code, and then Underworld Goddess. So that's just kind of the early testing for the deck. Let me know down below if there's anything you think to change. I'll definitely have to kind of, do some testing on this to see how I like everything. But it is definitely a very interesting archetype, and I'm excited to kind of get some testing done for it. But yeah, until then, I will see y'all next time.